And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hi everyone, Meteorologist Joel Curtis with your aviation weather. This program was produced on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025. Starting out with our flying weather for Thursday morning, extensive IFR across the central portion of the mainland portion of the state, on out through the southwest, and then over to St. Matthew Island, and then down, of course, into the Bering Sea, where we have a major weather system moving in. Also along the Chukchi Sea coast, and then as you can see, there's some marginal VFR offshore out in the Gulf. Then for Friday afternoon, that marginal VFR out in the Gulf was reduced almost right up to Prince of Wales Island. In the meantime, we have some IFR continuing and persisting along the Chukchi Sea coast, and then extensive IFR in southwestern Alaska, the marginal VFR across the central portion, the mainland portion of the state, marginal VFR across much of the Bering Sea, and IFR in the western Bering Sea and the far western Aleutians. Then for Friday morning, that really persistent IFR along the Chukchi Sea coast, some marginal VFR all along the Alcan, and then a swath across the central portion of the state. And then we also have a pretty good area of IFR conditions along the southwestern Alaska, also marginal VFR through Norton Sound, up through St. Matthew Island, and the southern Alaska Peninsula, as well as the Dutch Harbor area, and extensive IFR over the western Bering Sea. Also notice a little marginal VFR for the southern Panhandle going on as well. And then for Friday afternoon, marginal VFR across much of the Panhandle, down through the Yakutat area and then out into the Gulf for Kodiak Island, up through Norton Sound, St. Lawrence Island. A little bit of IFR along the southwest coast and on up to St. Matthew. And then extensive IFR Friday afternoon across the western Bering Sea with the major weather system there. So now for our pass reports. Starting out with Anaktuvuk Pass, we've got marginal VFR becoming VFR and IFR area into the south, especially in the morning. And then for Atigun Pass, marginal VFR becoming VFR, and again IFR along the southern sections in the morning. For Lake Clark and Merrill Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR with some onshore flow up against the mountains. And then for Rainy Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR in the afternoon. Windy Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR in the afternoon. Isabel Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR. Mentasta Pass, IFR becoming marginal VFR. And for Tahita Pass, a little bit of turbulence expected, but VFR conditions throughout the day. Portage Pass, marginal VFR in the morning with a little patchy fog, then becoming VFR, but expecting some turbulence, particularly at mountaintop level, not so much through the Portage Valley. And then for Chilkoot and White Pass, VFR, but significant turbulence with the offshore flow up in there and the gap winds. So now for our freezing levels. Surface for almost the entire state except for the Aleutians and the Pribilofs. And then we ramp up from about 2,000 feet with a temperature inversion over the Alaska Peninsula, and then ramping up to about 6,000 as you get down toward the high pressure center. So that sets up our icing. None in eastern Alaska, but looking for a little bit of isolated moderate surface to about 8,000 feet through the Bering Strait into Norton Sound, a little bit into the western interior, and then across St. Matthew. But then with the significant weather system that's moving into the Bering Sea, freezing level to about flight or 120, 12,000 feet, with considerable moderate across the Aleutians and then on in over to the western Bering Sea. So for our jet stream, we've got west-northwest winds with a core for the jet about 95 knots, approximately just inland from Norton Sound, and then that continues on out into the Gulf. And then around the upper ridge, we've got the southeasterlies going across the Dutch Harbor area, and then all of the Aleutians. For our 9,000-foot winds, note some wind ramping up for the northern sections of the state, generally westerlies, and up to a core of about 55 knots, particularly over the Brooks Range. And then as you get down toward that major weather system that's moving into the Bering Sea, we've got southeasterlies with wind up to about 55 knots or so, and then some northwesterlies out in the Gulf. For our 3,000-foot winds, which has set up some of our turbulence, we have southeasterlies up to about 60 knots as it crosses the Alaska Peninsula, and then a little bit of westerlies along the north slope, about 20 knots or so, and then also indicated about 20 knots over the Prince William Sound area. Again, mountaintop level, but that's what's causing the turbulence over there. And then, the turbulence is really right down at the surface for southeast Alaska, particularly the passes. And then for our turbulence forecast, surface to about 4,000 feet in southeast Alaska. For the Prince William Sound area over to Cordova, and then also through Kennedy Entrance, some considerable moderate, surface to about 3,000 feet. Same thing for Norton Sound area, surface to about 3,000 feet. And then as you get out of the Aleutians with that strong weather system moving in, surface to about 6,000 feet. So that's it for your aviation weather. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to fly safe out there, and be sure to file a flight plan. Thank you.